Have you ever wanted to write a book or wanted to put together all this information so that you could present it as a book and sell it or just have a book written for yourself? Well, I'm going to go through my steps of exactly how I am creating a book as I'm going through the process so I can give you the raw feeling and emotion of what's happening and I don't have to look back on it and teach like all these courses out there. I'll just tell you exactly what I'm doing so that all the information's out there for free. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below in the comment section or jump over to Instagram, say what's good. Okay, so with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you returning, it's good to frickin' say you. All right, let's get into the video. So as you can see here, writing a book and outsourcing the actual writing portion of it. So this is what I am doing. Going through and writing 50,000 words to create a roughly 100-page book did not sound super stimulating to me, even though it is a topic that I'm very interested in. Going through and doing all the extra research and that process just didn't seem super compelling to me. So I'm actually going to be outsourcing this. I've never outsourced anything before at all, and it's very different, right? So I wanted to start with like, how could you do this, right? Well, you have to have a fucking desire to actually want to write a book or compile information to structure in a way it could be a book, right? Um, and just share your message with somebody, because if you don't want to share your message, what's inside of you, your story, then this is probably not something that's going to be, if you're just here to like make money and not bring some value to some other people through the process of doing this, and that's not in your mind. To me, like that's been center focus for me, is trying to provide value and something that's going to be tremendously valuable to the people who read it. So like I think that not highlighting that and saying that, because I'm sure you've heard other people say that before in other videos if you're watching this one, and it's true because that's literally how I'm going through the process and how I'm thinking about it. Like, oh, this book's going to be really good, and I'm trying to make sure it's very great value. That is the first thing. So you gotta want to share your message with people. Then you just got to pick a topic. So for me, it's in the area of fitness and bodybuilding, because that is an area that I'm very familiar with, and it's been passion of mine for years and years. And I've been training and supplementation and all the other pieces around it. So to me, it was right in that area, and literally it was a conversation I had with my buddy, and I was, because he had just written a book, and his was doing very well. And I was like, oh man, I've always thought about writing a book, but just writing all that book just super does not sound compelling and interesting to me to do. I would prefer to do something else. And I knew about having other people write it, but then I talked to him some more, and he told me how he went through and structured his, right? And it was like a 5-minute conversation. And I was like, well, I wonder, I'm not sure what to write about. He was like, just write about this. And literally like that, I was like, okay, cool. That's the decision. So that all I needed to hear was like, hey, this, and it was quick enough so that I can grab that and make a decision without wasting any time, because I've already fucking wasted so much time in my life thinking about like, oh, hey, I would like to write a book. Oh, hey, I would really like to write a book. Over the last probably since I was a teenager, right? And I'm 35 now. So I've thought about it a lot between being a teenager and now. And it might sound ridiculous to most people because most people probably don't think about writing a book, but I've actually thought about writing a book for quite a fucking long time and wasted so much time. So as soon as I heard it, I was like, boom, decision made. That's what I'm doing. I just need to take action on this because there's been so much fucking wasted time over the last decade and a half plus that there's no more fucking action needs to fucking happen. So picking something that you're interested in, that you can talk about relatively fucking easy, was just second nature to me. And just picking something and be like, boom, that's it, and just go in, because now this is where it actually becomes super easy. So here, in an outline. So after you pick a topic, right, you're just like, hey, I'm gonna write about tea mugs, right? Okay, cool. It's because that's the thing that's like interesting to you, right? So you're gonna know what style glass this is called, and this type of handle is what type of shape for, you know what I mean, and what's the best type of tea, or how quickly this will become less hot over time relative to some other type of material, glasses or whatever the fuck your niche is. And there's a couple of those very, very macro, like 50,000 square foot, like in the air in a plane, like very macro views of things that you might want to touch on, right? So you just put down like, hey, talking about tea mugs, right? That's just literally, it doesn't matter what the title is. It literally doesn't matter. Just put down what you're talking about, because you can get to that later. Then the next is just write down 3 things that at the very macro level, it doesn't matter what they are, just fucking write them down, and then stop, and you're done. And then do day 2, right? Day 2. Okay, so day 2. Again, just go through and add a couple more of the same macro or type level views to that. And if you wrote out a word or a phrase, you read through what you wrote the first time as well, and add any type of clarity that you might think could be potential. Don't like, it's just that remember the very macro view. So it's not going to be extensive fucking pages. It's literally going to be a word or a couple words. That's it. That's it. You're just like fucking gray tea mugs, right? That's going to be a macro topic for you because you're talking about different colors associated with tea mugs or whatever the fuck you want to talk about. And then the next one and the next one, and you keep doing this until you get the total number of topics. But you do it like 3 or 4 at a time and then stop, right? Unless you're feeling like on point, like obviously do more, but break it down into the fucking micro, or otherwise you're never gonna fucking do anything. Like what I've done for the last 15 fucking years. And come back to it every day and go through it again. And I did not come back to it every single day, but I did come back to it pretty much, probably, I would say like every week, multiple times a week. Most of the time, I think there might have been 1 week where I either didn't look at it for 4 or 5 days, or it was the entire week where I didn't look at it. But it's been about 5 or 6 weeks now of taking a little bit of time and just going through it and adding more clarity and expanding on. So then after you get those 7, 10, 14, whatever you want in terms of the macro view of what you're talking about, then go back and touch on like, well, why does a gray mug matter, right? And just write a couple things about that, and then go on to the second topic and write a little couple things about that. Like, why do you want to cover this? Why is it relevant, right? And then be done. And then go on to the next day and take another 3 minutes and do 2 more of the macro level things, right? And then do it again and again until all those are done, right? And that's literally all it is this tiny fucking microseconds. You got to make those decisions to do that shit. Because if you're not going to show the fuck up, you're never going to succeed. And once that's done, then after I finished, I went back through again, added more detail in every single one of them. And again, you can break it down the same way. Added more detail on all of what I just put down. Went through it again, added more detail and expanded just marginally on everything a little bit. And then went through again to add more clarity, just to make sure that everything was like, if I was putting myself in somebody else's shoes, are they going to understand what I'm trying to say to get the result that I want? Right. So I go through again, and I do that probably 2 or 3 more times to do that. And I also change things. I'm like, this, maybe move this around and add a few more things in here and there. And then towards the end, like 3 days in a row, there was like just very, very minor changes that I was making to it, right? Like I felt pretty comfortable with it, just like minor things here or there. And then what I did is go to Upwork. So that's this next step here. So Upwork and Fiverr are 2 websites where you can go hire somebody to write your shit for you. And the process that I went through, let me see if I can pull this over here. So, excuse me. So I wanted to understand like how many like hours somebody, like just get a better understanding of the equation of what type of, because when you look at these sites, wants an hourly wage. So like, what would I be asking at this price, right? Like to understand like the amount of the amount that I would essentially be paying somebody, right? Because I got to figure that out. But I'm doing it by the project, right? But how do I know how long it will take it to do somebody? Well, I looked up how long it takes to type, what's the average like typist is what they call them. How many like words per minute can they type? And it's probably not the same thing, but it probably very close. And they're probably actually higher than that because the number, it seems pretty low. And I feel like I type faster than that. And I don't think of myself as like an extremely fast typer or who does it like probably more than the average person, but like anyways, so it's 50 words per minute. 50 words per minute times 60 minutes gives me about 3,000 words an hour. So if somebody can write 3,000 words per hour on average, and that's on the lower end, right? There was a range that came in Google, and I picked the bottom end, the lower side, to be more conservative. Well, and in actuality, if somebody does this like for a living, they're probably substantially faster than 50 words per minute. And when you go through and I was going to put it up there for 150 bucks, right? So I put it up for 150 bucks, and they're going to be I want about 50,000 words for them. So let's see, 50,000 words divided by 3,000 words per hour. So this is going to give me the calculation of how many hours it's going to take them to write the book, essentially. It's going to take them about 17 hours, right? If their average is at the low end of this. And you can pick native speaking people, or like you can pick different levels of like fluency in terms of a language. So I just picked the highest level of native in terms of English speaking. And then, so if I'm paying, if I pay $150 for this project, that was what I originally put on. Well, that's what I put up on, I posted it as. And you divide that by roughly 17 hours. That gives me roughly about $9 an hour for somebody to write this. And there was a lot of people that I saw that were a lot higher than $9 an hour, but there was several that were like under $9. Like one of them, I think was the lowest one I saw was $4 an hour. So I'm gonna see what this like plays out with, but and keep if I can actually get it written for 150 bucks, or maybe I have to pay more. And if you guys want to follow along with that journey, make sure you press that subscribe button and the bell notification so YouTube can notify you. If you have any questions about any of this stuff or you find it interesting, share it with somebody. It really does help out the channel. And then also reach out to Instagram if you have questions. If this is something that you are actually fucking interested in doing, and I'm not trying to sell you anything, but you can jump over to Instagram and say, what's good? And ask questions, because I'm happy to help out. Like, I want to meet other people who are actually willing to show the fuck up for themselves in their life. Appreciate y'all. Peace.